Now, data validation should be applied to cell G3. I like this question. Data validation should be applied to cell G3. Use the table in M5 to enable the user to select from the option. Now, these are the options. And we have to apply data validation here. So let's say we are applying data validation for all these columns, or all these values in this column. Now, the same way that we talk about the validation rule and the same way that we talk about the drop down, we also have it in Spreadsheet, which is called the data validation. Now, we go to data and then you see data validation. Or if you don't know where to find it, like I told you, go to the search or the tell me what to say, data validation. Now you see validation. Now, regarding the validation, we have allow any value. If you want to choose the list, like here, we want to select the list, just like the combo box, we choose list. If the data validation is about validation rule, we choose whole number or decimal based on the question. So here we choose list, and then the source of the list, we are selecting from this table. You come and select this one. And then you click back and then OK. So in other words, when I click here, there's a drop-down list that gives the list here so that I can choose from. Right. So that is how we insert the data validation in Spreadsheet. Now, what about validation rule? I think that's the next question. It says, use a spreadsheet feature to fill all the cells of the members who have the emerald or emerald value with the red font. Okay, I'll come back to that one. That is conditional formatting. Now, let me go to work in the ID worksheet. And it says, use a spreadsheet feature in cell I3 to force the user to enter an integer, which is a whole number that cannot be greater than 5. Add an input message, maximum 5 dependent. So this is part of the validation rule. So we go there and then work in the ID worksheet. Now this question, this dependent here, we must apply the validation rule. So validation rule, just like the list, is also part of the data validation. So you can say data validation or you go to validation. Then the settings, we choose whole number. And according to the question, it says it cannot be greater than what? 5. That means it should be 5 or less. So here we don't choose between. We choose less than or equals to, then 5. And then we choose the input message. That's the validation text. We type the input message, and the input message says maximum 5 dependent. And then you click OK. So meaning if I type 6, it's going to give me the error. Here, that means it should be maximum 5. This is the input message so that I can correct it. So basically, this is how we do the data validation. Like I told you earlier, that we are going to check the data validation, which we have sorted it out right now. All right. Now, we look at another question, which is the input, or what do you call it, the conditional formatting. Now, it says, use a spreadsheet feature to fill all cells of members who have emerald or emerald value option in column G. So here, those who have emerald or emerald value in column G, we must fill. And what color are we going to fill with? Red color. So we select. Please, whenever you are dealing with conditional formatting, don't select. You will see learners selecting column G. No, you must select the range of value that must be applied. So here I select this, and then conditional formatting, you get it from the home tab. If you don't know where to find it in examination, I'll ask you to always type conditional formatting. Then you go to new rule. Now this question says we have to highlight. So that's the cell value. Now look at the different types of conditional formatting. We have format all cells based on their values. That is where we see the color scales. We have the data bar. We have the icon set and different icon sets. Now we also have format only cell that contains. That is where we have cell value or date occurring, no blanks or blank date or specific text. So specific text may be containing emerald. You can do that also. Right. Or you can choose cell value is equals to, and the cell value is equals to what? Emerald. Then you must format it to be red font. Then we want also the same conditional formatting. Highlight when it is equals to. This time, they say emerald value. Also with red. So you can see here is one column that we are applying the same formatting on it. Right, now, we move straight to another activity, which is also talking about the conditional formatting with no grid lines and then the color scale. So here I'm going to focus on 5 activities. Now, five activity. The question says, information regarding the team that qualified for the Soccer World Cup 2022 is given in the 5 activity spreadsheet. Work in the team's worksheet, and then you format the spreadsheet so that no grid lines appears and adjust the scale to 100%. Right. So here I'm going to focus on the team's worksheet. Now, if you want to change the scale, when you go to the page layout, you will see the size of the page, the orientation, changing the margins, also print area. They can ask you to set the print area where you must only print. Let's say we want to print only this part. You go to page layout, then you go to set print area. How to put a background with an image, print titles. If you want to print the titles, then you click on it, and then you go to the sheet, and then which one should be printed. We also have the scale and then the grid lines with the sheet options also. Right. So now this question is saying that we need to, there shouldn't be any grid line and then adjust the scale to 100%. So this scale should be 100%. right? And no grid lines should be printed or displayed. So we remove these view grid lines. Sometimes they can also say the heading should not be displayed. So you go there. Now, they can also, like I said earlier, when you go here, they can also ask you to um the header, you must put something in the header. You must customize the header. So you go there. They can also ask you to only repeat the header rows. So you click here and then you select the row you want you to repeat when printed, or the columns. They can also ask you to page order, whether over, down, or the down, then over. So you must check from the page setup. They like asking this type of questions also. So you must always check that aspect from the page setup. Right. Now, format cell C6 to appear as the other headers in row 6. Now here, this is cell C6. We want to format it so that it looks like other header. Now, to use this facility or the feature in the spreadsheet, we have to use what we call the format painter. Format painter. Now, this is already formatted. So you click there and then you click on format painter from the clipboard. Then you come and click on the themes so that they will be formatted the same. So if they wanted to format a specific row or column or a cell so that it looks like other ones, you must make use of format painter. So use format painter to address that also. Right. Then use a spreadsheet feature in column D to display themes that automatically qualify in a green shading, and that is conditional formatting. So automatic qualify, we display it in green formatting. It is similar to the first one that we did. Now for excursions, also is talking about the data validation to accept only dates in December 2023. That means only the dates that's December 2023 must be selected. And it says circle or use a data validation feature to circle invalid data. And then you take a screenshot. Right. So let's check that question also before we move to other questions. There are so many questions that I will urge you to do it. The alternative text row 2 should always be remain when printed. You must go through all this and then try to answer some of these questions.